Chelsea has a really bad cold, and so she lost her voice, so she's unable to talk. Um, I'm Jeanette. I'm gonna start us all off with Hillary and Chelsea and Ava. Um, what principles of effective speaking did you see in his speech for the same-sex, against same-sex marriage, that is? Well, that was the one that was he quoted God and religion through the whole thing, right? And it was, although I believe in what he was saying, I had a really hard time um, focusing and not getting distracted because he kept on. I felt he kept on saying the same thing over and over again, just using different words, and so I lost my interest. And uh, yeah, so I was looking at people behind him. Looking at their body language, and you could tell that they were feeling the same thing. They started off listening to him, and then all of a sudden they kept looking off to the side and looking over to this side, and it was kind of comical, I guess, to watch. Sad. I mean, he's trying to make a point, but yeah, he didn't get my vote if I was listening to that, and I even agree with him. Does anybody else?
Yeah. So when he was talking, like he had good points. Like I guess like truths will always be truths, right? Like,
Right.
it's always the same. The way he just presented it was really poor, and like he didn't really connect with his audience, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Like it was just I feel like it was more of a like I know better, so you all have to change, but really like connecting with the audience and helping them see how same sex relationship is not the best. So
Yeah. Well,
that's
that's true. He made a good point. He put himself up on a platform saying, I'm better than you, and I think he lost his audience right there, and he
hmm
lost me. And I even agree with him, so I felt bad for him, but
yeah, sure.
Well, I liked that he tried to use the Bible as a narrative because he didn't have anything on his own. Like, he tried, but not everybody believes in the Bible, so you can't really use that as like your story to point your what is it called? Your theories off of, because not everybody believes that. And I just didn't like the way he spoke, to be honest with you, just his tone of voice. And that he had a list. Did anybody notice that? Not that that's like a bad thing to have, but I was like, oh my gosh, he has a list. And that was just distracting.
well, I think he
And I
came
listened to
across.
it.
Now that you say that, Hillary, I think he came across kind of like condescending or something, and I think we picked up on it, and you listen, and then you're like, oh, this is what he's saying, and I totally tuned him out. Like the first, I felt, even we watched it, I'm like, oh, I should probably watch that and make sure, because I'm gonna have to answer questions about what he said later. So I
I
made sure
know.
to watch it.
I rewatched it like twice or three times because I was like, I should be getting something out of this that I'm not. It was, I don't know.
Well, I'm glad I'm
He
not the
wasn't
only one.
engaging, that's for sure. Oh
Oh,
man. I don't know, maybe it's because I don't attend churches where they stand at the pulpit and like, you know, yell at you, yeah, or like, thou shalt not, thou art, like, condemnation, and, things like that, and this was very weird. Like, that's strange.
I totally agree. It's hard to be. He should have said something personal about him more. And I think, did he just say his name and how old he was or something? I think that's all he said. And so, which is a good start, but I think he should have went into it more than, this is my name and how old I am.
He should have related it to himself. Like, he should have had something
Yeah.
personal to say about it. Like how it's either impacted him personally or how people he's known, have been impacted, but he didn't.
Yeah. Well, and if you were sitting in that room, okay, so let's move on to the for same-sex marriage. His speech, that was really good. Like if I didn't have the beliefs I do and I heard his speech and I heard
Yes.
the other guy, I would have totally voted, yeah, sure, let's have same-sex marriage, because that was so much better. He
Yeah, it
made
was
he
so
made
good.
yeah, he made it personal. He told a lot about himself. I mean, I felt for the guy, and how he stood up in class and like, yeah, I was raised by two moms and I turned out okay. And I mean, it was really good. And so I'm thinking, okay, so if we have both these viewpoints, and if I was somebody that was on the fence and I heard these arguments, I would have voted for same-sex marriage just because of his speech, was awesome. It was awesome.
Mhm.
So,
It's true. It's true. He really like connected with his audience. And I guess that's something that's really stood out to me. How we really and truly we have to be open to our audience. We have to, just tell them, this is who I am, and just kind of like really connect and not be like, like condescending, but just like put yourself out there and connect with people. That's something that I really loved about him, and he totally followed the point of the presentation. He talked about himself, so story about me, and then he talked about story about us, and then he said, "Well, what are we gonna do now?" And so it was really good.
like Marcia, well, her sister Barlow said that, how she started, even like they used the Gettysburg Address too. And I'm like, oh, yeah, that completely works. I never even thought about that. And you know how the prophets all start it with a little story about themselves or somebody they know, and then they go into their message, and like me, everyone, and then what we're gonna do about it or what we should be doing about it. I'm like, that's
Hmm.
completely how they talk. Every one of them is like that. Everyone. So it's awesome.
It's so true. It's so true.
I can't say anything more than just I totally agree.
Yeah,
Because I would just repeat everything you just said.
yeah, true. And something that stood out to me as as I was just going through and learning this like lesson for lesson 4, something that stood out to me was just how um we need to learn more techniques on how to present the truths, like because Satan, the devil, he tries really hard. Like he makes like things that are wrong look very enticing. And so like he's very smart, and I think it's time that like our generation, like we're standing for what is right, and we know that what we're doing is right, but that doesn't mean that because it's right everyone is going to agree. So we have to present things in a very enticing way so that people can be drawn to us. So that's just something that really stood out to me.
Well, and going off of that too is to use secular language because not everybody believes how we believe. And so if I'm trying to get somebody to entice them as to how I believe, I need to be able to be persuasive and professional and not always bring the Bible into it because that totally proves your point of using the Bible or God into your reasoning or your what am I trying to say? Like your justification or your how you should think the way I think. I mean, that totally proved your point, that Marshall, or Sister Barlow's point of not using religion in your argument. I mean,
Hmm. That's so true.
True. Did you guys see what Chelsea wrote?
I'm sorry, what?
Can you see what Chelsea wrote?
Oh,
She just said he didn't make people feel like they're worthless
yeah.
and got on their level, just the same as they've connected. And you know what's interesting? He was talking about his mom having MS. Well, my father has MS. And, you know, it's interesting because we all have problems, no matter what your family looks like. And so that one is a good way to relate to people.
Yeah. It's true. What about is there anything else to say on that?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, how about the Matt Walsh article?
Well, that was interesting. You know, at first I thought he was, like, before gay marriage until I got into the end of the article. Okay. So he did the same thing. He started off with this story, and in the second paragraph, he sent out everything he was going to say for the entire article. It was just like where you kind of sum up what you're saying. So I think he did really well.
Yeah, he had good points too. He did a good job, just like the first guy, or the four same-sex guy. He did a good job too. And I liked it that he was kind of like he was in casual conversation with us versus telling me what I should believe.
Well, he also made a good point because he was trying to do it reasonably. Like, men and women can create other humans and bring forth families. Meanwhile, same-sex marriage can't do that. And so he was talking about how the marriage relationship is not equal to other relationships because it's the same. And throughout all society, he said that the only reason that we still have society is because men and women procreate to have families, you know? So he said to open up the definition of marriage is to actively undermine the importance of family.
Which I completely agree with, and it's totally true. You know, he just did a really good way of not being judgmental, and still got his point across.
Yeah.
And he used non-gospel principles to back himself up, which everybody can relate to having a family because we all have families. Man, are you guys getting a lot of echoing, or is that just me? A lot of echoing. Okay, what else? Do you guys have any other questions? Or points or something else or comments you'd like to make?
For the other guy, the third guy, what's his name? Matt Walsh. Yeah, Matt Walsh. At the beginning, I was a little bit lost. I don't know, maybe it's just me. Or maybe it's just my reading skills. I was just like, I was lost at the beginning, but later, like, it started making sense. But like at the beginning, I was just like, what's he saying? I don't know. What do you feel? How did you feel about it at the beginning?
I thought he made some really good points at like what Hillary was saying about the family and men and women procreate. But a woman and woman can't, and a man can't, and that's why if we redefine family, it won't work because a man and a man can't have a baby and a woman can't have a baby. But now with science and everything else, we can have they can have babies because of their financial state, I guess.
Mm.
Which is science is the one that's making. Which man created the science to make the babies. So So our is in that case is man being God in that case.
Mhm. I see.
I'm reading Chelsea's comments.
Right?
Yeah, I think it's pretty smart.
Yep.
Well, and he knows this too. So he knows her weaknesses, he knows her strengths, he knows how to get at it, and it's like, well, it's a little gray area over here. Why don't you just kind of push off to the side, off the path, and then all of a sudden you're way off the path and you're wondering, well, how did I get here? And so that Satan is very smart. And so we should know thy enemy. I don't know what that's from, but maybe it's so we should know our enemy.
That is so funny. Sweet. Well, is that it?
Yeah, that's it. We had
Is that all the questions?
that's all the questions. What did you guys think of the what is that? The International United Families International. Although the different ladies that went on there, they were giving their 2 cents.
I don't know if I saw them.
All I'm getting is feedback now. I don't know if it's my computer or what, but it's really weird to talk when I hear myself echoing in the background.
I know that doesn't feel good. So from the United Families, the women, the United Families, responding to your question. Hello?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, just making sure. Okay, so anyway, at first, like when I was reading like their the things they've accomplished, I don't know what you call that. In my mind I was like, whoa, like man, they've done a lot. And just like listening to them, just made me see how it's like the simple things that they did that made them who they are as a family advocate. It wasn't like a big it wasn't, even there was one woman that she said she hasn't even like gotten her bachelor's, and it just made me see how like truly like to be an advocate, to be a family advocate, you don't have to like be the best like accomplished person. Like you just have to stand up for what's true, and it can be in the most simplest way. And I love when he said that it wasn't when they had an appointment with someone at the office, that it wasn't really like the thing that why are you laughing?
Because I know what you were talking about.
In the office they said they were like so scared and all that stuff, but like when they went there, like it wasn't really what they said, it was the spirit that they had, and like how they like the manners and the way they presented themselves. And so like being a family advocate is not all about like the knowledge and the education that you have, but it's also the morals and the manners and how much you care about people that truly makes you stand out to be an advocate.
Right, exactly. I got the same thing too, because I thought you have to be an advocate, you have to have your PhD, and I'm reading all the credentials, and I'm like, holy crap, like what's going on here? And here's me, I'm like, I'm a mom, hi. But a lot of them, they said, like the one lady, she said she has one question. I'm like, I can ask one question. And the other lady, the meeting, it was a 10-minute meeting, and they ended up being there for an hour, and then they're like jumping up and down holding hands in the rain. I'm like, that is something I would totally do. And that's why I was laughing when you were saying
that. Yeah. Yeah.
It's funny, like it just gave me a whole different perspective on what I can do. And yes, the one lady got her degrees, and now she's, I guess, have more of people taking them seriously, or because they have the good degrees, but she did a lot before she had her degrees. So
Mhm.
we can all do something. No matter if you have the piece of paper, the degree, or not. Just stand up and say something.
It's true. Well,
I think that's it, right?
okay. Well, I can start with a summary.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. So today, we have everyone is in the group, and Chelsea is sick right now, so she was able to like make comments, which is really awesome. And so the first question that um, we talked about the against the argument for the guys against same-sex marriage, and we talked about how the the guy was really like he used a lot of doctrine and a lot of gospel and Bible references, and not really everyone could relate with what he was saying, and so that way he lost his audience, and he lost just the attention of people when he was debating. And also we also spoke about how he didn't really reveal himself, he didn't really open up to the audience, and that way it was hard for them to connect with him. And also he his conversations and his statements were very um, condescending. Like he wasn't really just being a friend with his audience, but telling them, like my belief is this and this is how it's supposed to be. So we felt like he could have done better with his presentation. And so the next one was the guy who stood for the same-sex marriage, and we talked about how if we didn't really have our beliefs, we could have totally voted for the guy, because he was very good. He was very down to earth. He connected with his audience. He opened up, and he used the presentation which we learned from the Maslow presentation about how we need to talk about story of me, story of us, and what are we gonna do. And he followed that way, like that presentation, and it really helped him. And something that we noticed is that the audience really appreciated him, because when he was done, they applauded his presentation. So we know that same-sex marriage is not a good, like it's not what we are standing for, but his presentation was really good that we could, if we didn't have the strong beliefs, or if the audience didn't have strong belief, he would be really good at getting people. And so we came to a conclusion that we have to strive to also present the truth in an enticing way, just the way Satan entices people with sin. And so the next one, we talked about the article of Matt Walsh, and we talked about how his conversation was very casual, and that he had really good points, and that he was not judgmental, and he just presented the presentation, his article, in a very simple and casual way. And so we really loved his article. And so we talked about also the family and the women, of how we're talking about how they were very simple, and you don't have to have a whole lot of like education to be an advocate for families. That it's all about your spirit and the love that you have for people that will help um, us as advocates to stand up for people, and all we need to do is just a simple act, and and that makes us and helps us to stand up for families. And so those are the things we talked about during the group study today, the Google Hangout group study. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. That was a great summary. I'm gonna. Okay, I will. I'm gonna stop the cast now.